AI is going to give us our time back. And I think we're going to be able to stop trading time for money. I would make a list of everything that you're doing on a daily basis, the routine, the mundane, and then I would make a separate list of the things that you should be doing, but you're not doing. You don't like them, you don't have the time, you don't see high value in them. And then I would start looking and saying, okay, AI can step in almost every single one of these instances.
Hello there. Welcome back to the next episode of the Goal Crazy podcast. I'm your host, Jason Vandeveer, and today I have with me Gary Henderson. And Gary, he is the founder of Gary Club. He's the author of Clubhouse Creator. He has also driven over $1 billion in sales for his clients. And why I'm excited to have Gary on today is because he's an expert in AI and really specifically creating AI agents to help you do lots of the work that small business owners are taking up a lot of time doing. So, Gary, I'm excited to have you on here. Welcome to the show.
Well, most definitely. Thanks, Jason, for having me. This is going to be an interesting conversation today. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So let me start with this. Why AI? How'd you get curious in this? How'd you make this part of your career?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll go back a bit. I'm a bit older.
Yeah.
I'm 44. So back in like 2001, so like 25 years ago, I started dabbling with automations. And my first dabble, I call myself an old school ethical spammer.
All right.
So
Explain that.
yeah, so we had the misspell of Hotmail. And Hotmail back in like 2001, 2002 was the premier email address. Like if you were on the internet then, you had a Hotmail address, and we had the misspell. So instead of HOTMAIL, we had HOTMIAL. And this was in the time when people just typed. And it was like you would get the CCs that had like 50 people in them. And it was like, if you don't forward this, then your mom's going to break her back, and all these like dumb internet crazy stuff. But we got a lot of emails coming in, a lot.
So people would think they were signing up for Hotmail, and they would sign up for...
Well, no, they would send the email to their friend, but like I'm going to send Jason, and Jason's email is like Jason is cool 482 at hotmail.com, but you mistype the MAIL and do MIAL. Okay. And I intercepted those emails. And I corrected the email and forwarded it and spoofed it directly to your recipient. So you never had a clue you mistyped something.
Yeah.
I delivered what you wanted to deliver, and in the middle of that, I scraped all the data out of it. And we became a data warehouse. And that was the first automations that I started to build.
Kind of freaky.
It is. During this time, I was also helping take an AI or an ad agency into an automated environment. We were billing off of estimates, and we weren't tracking actual. So I started tracking actual, like how many times did the press run and how much ink did we use and all these things. So I started building automations and systems. And then fast forward, I don't know, probably 15 years, like 2014 or so, I got into the Infusionsoft craze. And we helped a couple clients win some big awards with Infusionsoft, and we started building funnels and automations. Like people like Jeff Walker, we built his very first marketing automation funnel that he ever had. And that to me is where AI's at. It automates things for you. It was a little more primitive back then. But it was, can we build a funnel that says, if this person opens the email, then go do this thing. If this person doesn't open the email, then go do this other thing. So we did that with Infusionsoft for a while, and then we stepped into HubSpot. We became their rookie agency of the year and a platinum partner with HubSpot. We onboarded like Michael Hyatt to HubSpot and his company to HubSpot, and we started building really smart automations. If you read 3 of these blogs, like for Michael Hyatt, it's his Full Focus Journal. If you go read blogs about focus, then we went and did the research to figure out had you bought a journal. And if you had, great, we just let you just keep reading blogs. But if you hadn't bought a journal, you entered a sales cycle or a sales funnel to get you to buy a journal because you're reading blogs about journals. And then fast forward now to where we have these fully autonomous AI agents, and I think we can deploy things. So one of my clients, we've deployed over 100 voice agents inside of physical therapy clinics across the US and UK. Grew about $2 million in ARR out of that company, replacing the front desk phone person at a physical therapy clinic with an AI agent instead of a human. And then for me, you and I are talking on this podcast today because I trained an agent to go build podcast outreach. So to do research on podcasts and find ideal shows that I could be on, write customized pitches, do all the follow-up, do everything like that. So now you and I are talking because of AI. So I've been in AI in some capacity or automation in some capacity for 25 years. And at its simple core, I think that's what AI is. It's artificial intelligence. So instead of me having to program or hardline, if this happens, go do this. Now I can say, well, if this happens, make the best next decision for this person, which we were trying to program before, and now it can kind of think on its own.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so it started with more manual Zapier style automations. Now it's AI. It's learning to think. What are some of the tasks you feel like are the low hanging fruit that you help lots of business owners get off of their plate with AI?
Yeah, anything. I think that's a great question. It's anything that you have to do repeatedly as a business owner.
Hmm.
So, and we all have different pain points. Like, I'm one of those kind of odd guys. I stay at inbox zero all the time. Not everybody stays at inbox zero. Some people are like inbox 32,000. So if you're overwhelmed with your email inbox, you can build an AI agent to manage that for you. If you're not monitoring your stats on social media, you can build an AI agent to manage that for you. I have an entire dashboard of revenue and market cap and all of these things that go on, all the KPIs that I'm worried about in our community. And AI keeps that updated for me. We do support tickets inside of our community. I don't like support tickets, but I like to provide really good support. So I have an AI agent that manages level 1 and level 2 support tickets. If it's extensive or, elaborate or something like that, if it's going to be a big change, then we handle it manually. Or we at least review it manually. But in the interim of that, like someone emailed in and they said, "Hey, I was trying to do this thing and it didn't work." Well, we have an AI agent that was just dispatched and fixed that automatically, so we didn't have to. So for me as a business owner, I would sit down and I would make a list of everything that you're doing on a daily basis. The routine, the mundane, and then I would make a separate list of the things that you should be doing but you're not doing. You don't like them, you don't have the time, you don't
Hmm.
see high value in them. And then I would start looking and saying, okay, AI can step in almost every single one of these instances.
Hmm. Yeah,
And we all have those things.
yeah. Walk me through what it would look like to make an AI agent. So maybe probably one that everybody can relate with is email. Almost everybody has an email address. So to make an maybe you can find these bots already made, but let's say if you wanted to make one, what are the softwares? How do you train it? Uh, how do you monitor it? What's the process look like to release a functioning AI agent who will interact within our real world?
Yeah, so it's evolving and it's evolving fast. So
Hmm.
I'll kind of get you up to speed with where it's at today. Today it's very goal based. So you have two major pieces of software that people are using at a novice level, and that would be either OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, or Claude. Then you have two pieces of software that people are using at a level that's a little bit more advanced, and that would either be OpenClaw or Hermes. So I'll go first with the OpenAI and the Claude example. OpenAI has something called Codex. Claude has something called Cowork or Claude Code. Those both have connectors into a lot of different things across your computer, across the apps, like a Google connector. If you use Gmail, they have connectors to your calendars and things like that. And AI has now become goal based. So, Jason, you could say, I want you to go through and clean my inbox and keep it clean for me. And AI knows and understands that, and it will ask you some questions. What does this mean? And who do you want to flag? Or how do you want to handle your start items? Or whatever that looks like. It'll ask you some questions and then it'll go do it for you. And you don't have to do much more than that. You connect to your Google account or your email account, whatever that is, and you're pretty much done. And they work in schedules or loops. So it will go out every so often. It will check your email for you. It will maybe flag things that are important for you that you should follow up on. It'll archive other stuff. It'll, maybe if you tell it to, it'll do certain things like book appointments on your calendar and things like that. Basic tasks that you approve.
Hmm.
And both OpenAI and Claude can do that at a very easy level for every average human.
So it
You
can
tell it your goal.
integrate in. It integrates in. They've got some sort of connection. So if I use Gmail, I sync it up with Gmail, and boom, now it can
Yeah, and
now
the
can
same
do
thing
those
with like
emails. Yeah.
your Facebook ads, for example. Like Meta released an MCP, which is a connector, and you can go in and it will check your Facebook ads for you. If you say like I'm looking for like maybe to sell your book, for example, you say I'm willing to spend $5 to get someone to buy my book. Just using this as an example. So go in and check my ads every day, and if any of my ads are spending more than $5 to get a purchase, then turn them off for me. Well, that's something that you should be doing on a daily basis if you're running ads, or you should
Hmm.
have a team doing it if you're not doing it. But now we can have AI do it for us. And then I want you to send me an update every day and let me know what you turned on and off so I can go in and fix it. And then you can go way more advanced than that. Now, when you get into a level deeper, Hermes or OpenClaw, and they're built to run fully autonomous without your interaction. Same focus, same goal based. So I told Hermes, I want to get booked on podcasts.
Hmm.
Hermes came back and said, here's your plan. So it went out and did all the research. It said, here's who you are. Here's the type of shows you should be on. Here's the type of content that you're prepared to speak on. I need access to your email. I need access to this. It told me what it needed. I helped it get access, right? I was its assistant, just very
Hmm.
much like if you hired a new employee and they said, how do I get into Slack? Well, you'd have to help them get into Slack. So I had to help Hermes. And now that I did, now it goes through and it handles everything for me. And then I just ask it, how can we be better? What can we do better? One of the things that it came up with me for this morning, which makes total sense, it says, if you're confirmed on a show, we're now going to look at every other guest that's been on that show and find out every other podcast that that guest has been on and reach out to those podcasts too. So we're going to build this guest network. Because, like, for
Yeah.
example, you had Chandler Bolt on your podcast recently. Chandler and I are relatively similar. We have different businesses and things like that, but we talk about some same topics. So if a podcast had Chandler on, they probably should know that I exist. Maybe they don't want me. Maybe they do. Who knows?
Hmm.
But it's a better chance than not. So we built this network, and Hermes knew to do it. And it builds this continuous loop. So it's continuously learning. So Claude and OpenAI are pretty static in their learning right now. They do what you tell it to do based on your guidance and your constraints and your controls. Hermes and OpenClaw are dynamic in their learning, and they're constantly in a learning loop to improve based on your goals.
Hmm. And I imagine there's a step. So if you log into Hermes or OpenClaw, uh, to kind of give this bot an identity, like, hey, y- uh, here's your role. You're going to be podcast expert. You're an expert on this. Here's 3 different guys I know that teach different practices. Go read their stuff. I want you to do what they do to get me on these shows. Um,
Yeah, and you
so it has a
can.
foundation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
you
do you feel like
can,
it's,
or you can just focus on the goal. And we used to, like 6 months or a year ago, we used to have to really tell it, like, you are this, and kind of
yeah.
define the parameters for what the agent is. Now, when we say, my goal is this, it knows what it is. It says, okay, my goal is to accomplish getting Gary booked on podcasts. I need to find the best methods to do that. And then it'll go out and find what scripts exist and how do we get, we're not getting responses, or like, for example, it says we're getting some emails that are bouncing back as not valid emails. And it came back to me and said, can you give me this application, or can you go get an API key for this application so we can verify emails before we send them? So it's smart. It's like, hey, I
Yeah.
hit a wall, I hit a problem, just like an employee would. Can we solve this problem, Jason? And it back and it says, hey, let's solve the problem. And we solved it together. And now we get less
And
bounces and so forth.
yeah. And so when your bot pitched me, I mean, it's kind of nice that since you were in the AI space, it very much just said, I'm an AI bot. And it's not like, oh, wow, I'm insulted by that. It's okay. This is your area of expertise. Because of my podcast, I probably get 3, 2 to 4 to 5 podcast pitches a day. I get tons of them, right? And my eyes have been very trained to recognize an AI pitch. Specifically, I don't want to bet. So there's a specific software that I'm not going to give the name that helps people pitch podcasts. And I would say you just recognize the style of it. They all look the same. It's not a good style. The podcaster needs to tell these people, you're not giving them what I want, and it's just a bunch of fluff. Hey, here's Tom. Tom's a great storyteller. He'll captivate your audience. They'll walk away with insightful insights, and it's just like, but who is he? I don't know yet. Yours didn't come across. that way. Yeah, and you feel like it's because Hermes just knows how to do it a little bit better, even without me giving it a bunch of guidance on, here's an example template. I don't have to load that into there.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I've done this stuff manually. I think that we're still at the phase today. Like, I don't think you can hire an employee and train an employee if you don't know what that employee is supposed to do. And I treat AI like employees.
Yeah,
Now, you don't have to know everything that employees should know. You should hire people smarter than you and better than you at the things that they do. But you need
yeah,
to know, like, if you hired someone to do your taxes, you need to know that you need your taxes done.
hmm,
If you hired someone to handle your invoicing, you need to know I need invoices to go out. So I came in and said, in order to do a quality pitch for podcasts, we need to
hmm,
go and listen to their existing podcasts. Well, it's not listening, it's reading your transcripts.
hmm,
We need to have a background of me. So ask me every question you can to get my background and go listen to every other interview that I've ever done.
hmm,
And now I want you to write personalized emails to every single person that you outreach to, which
yeah,
is what most software doesn't do. They write a standard pitch that pitches me to you, but it doesn't pitch how we can create something together. The other thing, and you identified this, is I believe wholeheartedly, we should not try to hide AI. We should be forward with AI. And it just, my pitch says, hey, this is Luna. I'm Gary's AI assistant. And I gave it a personality. Its personality is Luna. It has a voice. It can make phone calls. Like I can tell my Luna to go and make dinner reservations for me tonight. It'll call and make them for me. So it has a personality, it has its own tone, and I've spent time with it. And I've worked with it just like you would a team member, an employee. And then from there, I told it what my goal was, and I said, go be personal. Go do research. Don't just send the same message to everybody. And now we build in a learning loop. So when we get booked, go back and figure out why we got booked. What type of show was it? Who were their guests? Build this smart network so we pitch smarter going forward. Just the same way as you would treat an employee if you hired someone to get you booked on a podcast, you hired someone to screen your guests or things like that.
All right, so this is where a lot of people get stuck. It's not that they don't want to launch a business, it's that they haven't found the right business idea or they don't know how to get their current idea off the ground. And that's why I created a free training that'll walk you step by step through this process to discover your perfect business idea, validate that it's a winner, and get it launched this year. You can access that training at goalcrazy.com/free training. All right, let's get back into the episode.
So I treat AI like I would a human. And I spend time training and teaching and working with AI the same way I would a human. The difference is humans will leave you and AI won't. How
Yeah,
many times have you ever trained an employee or someone, you got them, they're amazing, and then they get the next opportunity? They go start their own
yeah,
company, they get another job, they decide to quit the workforce, whatever it is. And now you have to start the whole process over. Hopefully, you built some good SOPs and things like that. So you've got some training in place. But now you have to start the whole process over. All the time I'm investing into AI, they're never going to leave me. They're only going to get smarter. They're only going to get better. So I
hmm,
never have to worry about replacing that particular team member. I'm going to have the
yeah,
smartest podcast outreach that exists in the world in the next 6 months.
yeah. So you brought up you kind of have these more user-friendly, entry-level ChatGPT, Claude. Why would somebody when are they ready to go to OpenClaw or Hermes? Is it based on the task, how in-depth it is, or yeah,
It gets a bit more. You've got to manage some things on your own. You've got to do some installs. You're probably going to get into some sort of a command line interface at some point in time. It's more techy, where you can just go to Claude and type,
yeah,
but Claude's somewhat limited. You can just go to ChatGPT and type, but it's somewhat limited. So if you want full control, kind of like some of us might go build our own gaming PC where we put all the pieces together and assemble a computer. And some of us might just go to Best Buy and buy the best gaming PC we can buy. So you have to kind of know yourself a little bit. Are you a tinkerer? Do you like the technical stuff? Do you want to figure it out? Do you want to hit walls? Do you want to bust through that? But do you want more power and more opportunity? Or do you want simple? Do you want easy? And for most entrepreneurs, their solution is somewhere in the middle. So it's let me use Claude and let me use ChatGPT because I can just use that myself.
Hmm.
But now let me go hire an AI implementation specialist to build an AI agent that's custom and tailored for me doing what I need it to do. So someone that can understand the capabilities of AI and my needs and requirements and desires and wishes and goals and all these things, and then connect those two pieces together to build the right team member for me, and then honestly manage that team member. So instead of just saying, okay, Jason, here's your podcast person, instead of you having to go in now and say, well, that didn't work out. How do I fix this? And try to plug in you're in command line and you're seeing black and white on your screen and all this stuff that just doesn't make sense to the average person. You're able to go back to a human and say, hey, I'm not getting booked on any podcasts. What's going on? How many have we reached out to? What's our feedback looking like? What are people saying? Are we getting any responses? And you're able to talk to a human, and that human goes in and tweaks and manages that. So I think that the kind of the interim fix, we had like online business managers were pretty popular for a while. Virtual assistants were pretty popular for a while. And now we have AI agents that are very popular. But I think that most people need an integration specialist or someone in the middle to kind of triage that middle piece for them.
Hmm. Do you think most people will be like, I kind of see two ways this can go. Everybody starts putting in the effort to build their own, let's say, AI assistant, or you or somebody makes a killer AI assistant and it can just be duplicated again and again for multiple people. So now someone did the hard work of building it in Hermes or OpenClaw, and they let me copy the model, and now I can just chat with it like AI, but like ChatGPT, but it's been programmed on the back end to have access to integrate in with everything I need to.
Yeah, and I think you're right about that. And I think most of what we use today is that in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So it's someone who's built something. So, like for voice, I don't go out and build my own voice engine. I use 11 Labs. They're the best voice engine that exists. But for you to use 11 Labs, you might log into their website and click buttons. I use it programmatically to where I can take everything that they're doing with voice and I can interject my own code in and interject and control and manipulate and do all these things. So I think we end up with this kind of hybrid of it. I don't think we end up with a bunch of fully turnkey solutions like software in a box or software as a service where you can just say, I want podcast outreach, because I think it's going to be specialized and personalized for you. I do think there's going to be models that exist or GitHub repos, which is what we call them in the tech world, that exist that say, hey, we can clone this or we can fork this. And now we can start to make it our own and make it custom. Very much like you do some real estate stuff. Is that right? So you could go out, right, and you could buy house plans from any website. Or you could take the house plans and start to tweak them and modify them and make them fit exactly for what you think will work there in Ohio. I think that's where we go. Not just go buy the house plan and I'm going to plop up a row of these houses because this was a great plan and I bought it for $1,000. Some people do
Hmm.
that and it works. But, oh no, I'm in Ohio and these are the special things that we need here in our town in order to make real estate work. And I think that we're going to get this simple solution in the middle that we customize and tailor for the end user, that takes, maybe instead of having to go fully custom, we're cutting like 70 or 80% of the hard work out at the beginning. And we're just putting the 20% on top that's the icing on the cake.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. What other AI tools do you feel like most entrepreneurs should know? I imagine, ChatGPT, Claude, people are probably familiar with those. I've been using Manus. I don't know if you use Manus here and there, or like web design. Are there some handful that you feel like, hey, most people should start learning these basic AI softwares?
I really think if you focus on Claude and OpenAI's models, you're going to be ahead of the curve for most of that. The one sleeper that most people don't do is Grok. And Grok is unique. It has access to the X API natively. So it gets access to data quicker than most humans can. So I had Grok do my research before I showed up for the show. Told me the exact questions you were going to ask me because it went and listened to all of your shows in the past and found your patterns. Told me that you did real estate in Akron. Told me that I think based on its ages, you're in your young 30s. You started your business about 8 years ago. All those things that I would have had to go figure out on my own,
Hmm.
Grok did it for me. and it has access to data that we just can't get. And I think that that's the one kind of hidden piece that the average person needs to do is go get a $40 membership at Grok and use it. I mean, my prompt before this call, it was super simple. I'm getting ready to be a guest on Goal Crazy podcast by Jason, and give me a quick prep sheet. It told me about how many users you have and how many countries you're in. It told me everything it could about you. Told me about me, so I knew how to frame my questions and my conversations and things like that for your audience. It gave me a list of questions that you were probably going to ask me. It gave me some interview tips. We did the same thing. My wife's a local content creator here in Austin, and we were going to meet up at a restaurant, and she was going to interview the restaurant and taste the food and all this stuff to do like a reel for Instagram. And we have a Tesla. So on the ride over there, I said, we're going to Jew Boy Burgers. I hit the Grok button. I said, we're going to Jew Boy Burgers. Mo's the owner. Tell me about Mo. And it gave me like a 10-minute conversation about Mo. So when we walked in, we knew that Mo was an admin, and we knew he was from West Texas, and we knew why he started Jew Boy Burgers and how he named it. All the things that we should have known, but we would have had to go do all the research. But so now I'm getting smarter, right? I'm a human. I have a natural evolution. Now I'm getting booked on more and more podcasts. So what am I going to train my Hermes agent to do? Every morning, send me every podcast that I'm booked on, send me a full report based on Grok's data for the podcast so I can prep. Send me a prep sheet. So I don't have to go prompt Grok. My Hermes agent that booked me on the podcast is going to prompt for me and send me the report. So I have the data. I show I'm knowledgeable. I understand what's going on, and I'm able to insert myself into that. So I'd say Grok is the hidden one that most people aren't touching yet.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, look, there's tools for everything. There's HeyGen if you want to, like if you wanted an avatar to do your podcast for you. Julie McCoy, she's got an avatar that has a YouTube channel now with about 250,000 subscribers. Most people want 250,000 subscribers on YouTube. Her AI avatar has them.
Yeah.
And it's all prompted based on, scraping news, writing scripts, having HeyGen design your avatar for you, 11 labs for the voice, putting all the motion in, doing all that. There's like Remotion that does video editing for you. So now there's models in Claude that can take a long form video like our podcast here and find what's likely to be the most viral clips and clip it all for you. Because we know short form content helps long form content
I
grow.
use tools like that. Yeah, and they've been very helpful. Yeah, it'll make the clips. So kind of what I'm picking up here is softwares like Hermes or OpenClaw. They can do, people talk about AI stacking, where it's, okay, I'm going to have ChatGPT make this, then I put it in this software, it designs the web page, and then I give the web page to this, and it creates the email flows on the back, and I'm stacking different softwares together. Sounds like you could have Hermes essentially do that AI stacking for you, right? So Grok does the research, here's the trendy things. Another software writes a script on the video for the lady's YouTube channel. Here's the software to make the avatar, the voice. Hermes pieces it all together. Yeah.
Yeah, so years ago, I met this gentleman. His name is Larry Winget. I don't know if you've ever heard of Larry. Larry is, he had a TV show on A&E called Big Spenders. He's a bit eccentric. He's on Fox News and stuff like that a lot. He had keynoted 400 of the Fortune 500 companies. So that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah.
I went and spent some time with Larry, and he told me that every morning he wakes up and he has coffee and he watches the news for about 2 hours every morning, because his job was to be knowledgeable about what was going on in case the news called him so he could leave and have an intellectual comment. Because he never knew, he's a keynote speaker. He was on TV a lot. So he never knew when the news was going to say, hey, Larry, we're sending somebody out. What's your thoughts on blank? So he needed to know what was going on. Well, now AI can just do that for him. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m, and at 5 a.m, I've got all the hottest news items that they're talking about on all these news networks right in my email, waiting on me. And I don't have to go and ask, hey, ChatGPT, what's popular today? Hey, Grok, what's going on today? What are they talking about on Fox News today? Give me the download. It'll just do it for you. And then when you get into the Hermes and the OpenClaws and stuff like that, you can start saying, go here and here and here and here and here and here and here. Go to these 10 different places and grab all this data, ingest it, figure out what's likely to be talked about, and give me something based on this model or this information, and it just gets smarter and smarter. And then the Hermes and OpenClaw, they keep learning. So if you
Yeah.
say now, here's what I talked about, or keep up with every time I mentioned in the news what my quotes were, it will keep tailoring your information to what you're likely to talk about.
Mm, yeah,
We call
that's
them in
good.
AI now, we call them loops. So it
Okay.
used to be chat based, and now
Yeah.
it's a loop. So here's my goal, and go do this on this occasion, and it just keeps looping and doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, so you prompt it once and it'll keep going, or you give it
Yep,
the goal, and it
exactly.
prompts, yeah. Uh, where do you think this is all going? Like, what do you think this is gonna look like in 10 years from now for a small business owner?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll give you kind of two pieces. I don't think we were put on Earth to work. I think we're stuck in this weird evolution cycle that we have to be the worker bees. I think we were put on Earth to live. We have a short amount of time. Neither one of us right now knows how much time is left in our time bank. We
Mhm.
have no clue. So we're spending their time working for a job, most of us, trying to make money to live and survive and thrive and all those good things that money gives us. I think AI is going to give us our time back. And I think we're going to be able to stop trading time for money. What that's going to do is allow us to make huge impact. Now, if you and I have the same amount of hours in the day as Elon Musk, but no questions about it, he's more successful than both you and I combined, right? I mean, would
Yeah.
you dispute that?
Yeah, no, yeah.
But he has the same amount of time that me and you do. And for some reason, he's also one of the top 10 gamers in the world. I don't have time to play video games like he does. Not competitively. I mean, I may play, GTA every now and then or something, or Rocket League, but I'm not a competitive Diablo player like he is.
Yeah.
So, what has he figured out? Why is he building Grok? Why is he building Tesla AI? Why is he building these systems? Because we're not meant to trade our time for money. We're meant to make an
Yeah,
impact.
I
And I
agree
think
with
that that's what
Mhm,
happens with the business owner. I
mhm.
think they're able to take an idea, and what might have happened in the past is I've got to go have an office space for 50 employees and I've got to go and, do this and this and this. And now we're able to say, okay, let me talk to my AI agents. Let me deploy them to go do my job for me so I can streamline my time. And maybe instead of having to work 80 hours a week to get my startup going, I have to work 20 or 30 hours a week and I am more effective. So I think that we're going to end up with people who I don't have it fully figured out yet, but I do think we're going to end up with some sort of a universal basic income in the United States where most people are going to get a check from the government that's going to pay their average expenses. And I think we're going to end up with an opportunity for some smart people like you and I to own some machines and make a hell of a lot of money for everybody.
Hmm, yeah. It's like, even if I had enough money in the bank that I could live off of the interest, I want to work. I
And you
don't
should.
view it and, I guess I'm not trading time for money. In some ways, some parts of my work I am. I work for myself, but, this is exactly what I wanna be doing. Like, I wouldn't want even if an AI avatar could do a podcast interview better than me, this is what I wanna do. You know what I
And you
mean?
should be able to do
But
that.
then there's I don't really wanna sort through my email inbox, right? Um, but, there's so much value in work that I wouldn't wanna give it all up. I would wanna be able to focus more on the things I enjoy, but,
The things
yeah.
that make an
Uh,
impact.
okay, one other thing I feel as we're talking about this, and I bet other listeners, I feel like I've been trying to stay proactive with AI, not into super techy, like very familiar with ChatGPT and Claude and other ones. They make my web pages and email flows, and I've used them, but it's a deep uh, world to go into. I imagine lots of people feel overwhelmed when they start hearing these. Like there is so much opportunity, there's so much AI can do. Uh, it almost seems so overwhelming. Where do I start? I'm just not gonna do any of it. What would you recommend for them to be? Hey, here's a pretty manageable next step. Here's the first bot to set up, just so you can start experiencing a higher level of AI.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think a lot of people do get overwhelmed and they push back or they go into analysis paralysis and they don't do much. So first thing I would say is get involved in a community that focuses on AI and understands business. that are working on practical implementations of AI. Not these pie in the sky dreams like I can build this, I could 3D print a robot to fold my underwear.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's cool, but how are we going to use that in business?
Mhm.
But get into a community, whatever that is for you, of people that are thinking about how do I solve my business problems in a smarter fashion, in a smarter way. And that community will help you get to the goals and help guide you and help push you that direction. That's the first step for almost every person probably listening to this is they don't have a community of people that are focused on solving problems smarter. Second
Mhm.
thing I would say is spend time asking AI. Instead of telling it what you need, ask it what you don't know. So, example, look at your calendar, look at your day, look at the things that you don't like doing. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I don't really like to check my emails every day. But I
Mhm.
really want to give really good proactive responses to people who write me. How do I solve that? What's the solve for that? And just ask it. And just see what it comes back with and read it and ingest it, think about it, pray on it, meditate on it, whatever that thing is, and then start to solve little problems at a time and build trust that it can do a good job for you.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah. All right, I've got one other question for you. This is more on a personal note. So, kind of going back to your idea of maybe we won't need to work. Uh, as you've implemented a lot of these AI activities, have you personally seen the number of hours you work go down, or do you just still work the same number of hours? You're just creating more output?
I think it's split. I think that's a phenomenal question. Um, I'm making more impact in the time that I'm working now. And I think that's the difference. Before, I would spend hours doing the routine, mundane tasks.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, I worked hard, but I didn't feel I was effective.
Yeah.
Now I'm making a bigger impact because I have AI helping me. And that's letting me like example, I didn't do podcast outreach for the longest time because it's tedious and it's troublesome and I don't like the junk that goes out. You talked about that a little bit, the other softwares that just send kind of random junk. I don't like that. I want to be able to provide something that I think is going to be beneficial to someone when it hits their inbox. Well, I just didn't do it. So I spent my time doing other things because I knew I couldn't do it effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have an AI agent that does it for me and I get to show up. So I'm still taking my time to have the conversation. I'm not letting AI do this for me. I don't believe in that yet. But I am here having a conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to make an impact on every single person that watches this piece of content or grabs a clip or you and I will probably be telling a story. Oh man, I talked to this guy Jason and Jason talked about this and we'll tell that story 6 years from now. So we're going to have this ripple effect. So hours wise, I'm still working the same amount of hours. But when I'm not working, I feel less anxiety. I feel more calm and more at peace. I feel like I'm making a bigger impact in the world. I feel like I'm helping more people. I feel like things are getting taken care of so I don't have to. Like literally, I have 3 monitors. I have a laptop. I have you in the center on a big studio display, and I have a monitor that goes up and down. Had someone that opened a support ticket while we were on the podcast. It's already solved, and they already wrote back in and said thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't touched my keyboard. I haven't went and solved an issue. My AI team did that for me, so I could be focused and present with you. I see it. I see it's done. I see that they wrote back and said thanks. It's solved. So I feel that I'm providing more impact, better quality of service, and I have more peace and less anxiety so I can live the life when I want. Because one of the things as entrepreneurs that I think we all get caught in is we're around our family or around our friends, but we're not present with our family and friends
Mm-hmm.
because work's going on. Or we get the email or we get the text message, or especially if we run a small business.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like I went to Pop Stroke last night and had a great time playing mini golf, didn't even have to touch my phone. And knew that if any fires erupted, we had a triage system in place to handle all those. Normally, I would have checked it multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's given me that peace.
Well, I think kind of how you mentioned it's really important when you're talking with these AI things, you give them a goal. I think what's going to be even more important for the future is actual people need to have a defined goal for themselves because otherwise, like I think they need to have the goal. Hey, I'm trying to make this impact. Here's how many hours a week I want to work on it. But if they don't have that goal, I think somebody who's working 80 hours, even if they put everything in place so they only need to work 5, they will end up working 100 because in somebody told me that the word priorities didn't exist 150 years ago, or it was somewhere. It wasn't that long. I think it was 150 years ago because people just didn't do as much. And it's really, if I look at my career, I can support myself pretty reasonably off of a handful of key relationships. And it's, I want to grow an impact. But it's also like, what's the actual goal here for my personal well-being? I don't want it to be, well, now I can have this huge output. Now I have to have a massive output rather than a regular amount of output. But if everyone's doing the massive output, I need a massive output just so I can keep up. And now we're all working busier, more anxiety. I'm not saying that's where it's going, but I think even people like a couple hundred years ago thought that now we'd only be working like a couple hours a week because of all these time savers, washing machines, dishwashers, cars, telephones, like things that used to take a long time. But it's now we just fit more in. So I think, long story, I think similar to how we give the AI a prompt or a goal, I need to have clearly defined goals for myself.
Yeah, and I think clearly defined goals and containers. Like I
Yeah.
think that I mean at the end of our lives, if you and I were both sharing a hospital room and it was our final days of life, I don't think either one of us would look at each other and say, "Man, I wish I would have worked every single Saturday and Sunday." I think both of us would probably look at each other and say, "Man, I wish I would have spent more time with the people that I loved.
Hmm.
I wish I would have spent more time in nature. I wish I would have spent more time going on walks. I wish I would have focused on my health a little bit more. I wish I would have done whatever those things are." And they're very personal to us. Jesse, I don't know. Do you know Jesse Itzler?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I've read
So,
his books. I don't know him personally.
yeah. So I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times. He's come in and spoke at a couple of events that I've helped host. And
Very cool.
he talks about summer hard. And he talks about the fact that kids, so I didn't know this, but when you reach 18, you spent 90% of the time you'll ever spend with your parents. Think about that. Like, both of my parents have passed away. They both died of cancer.
Hmm. Sorry.
I don't get that opportunity anymore. My son is 18. He lives here with me now.
Yeah.
So I'm getting this time, but at normal, like 18, you go to college, you move on with life. The physical time you got to spend with your parents is almost gone. And if you don't make that time to go back and spend with them and be present and focus and have experiences, before you know it, you don't get the opportunity to do it anymore. So I think that when we're looking at this and we're looking at AI, instead of saying, I now have an extra 20 hours in my week to go push harder, I think we say, what's really important in my life? What goals do I have in my life? How do I want to be remembered? Somebody said, wake up every day and write your obituary every day. How do you want to be remembered? So, do I want to be remembered like last night I went to Pop Stroke with my wife and my son? We had a great time at Pop Stroke. We laughed, we danced, we played, we ate. Or do I want to be remembered? Dad was sidetracked and on his phone the whole time. He was there, but he wasn't really there. So, those are the things that I focus on right now. It's just I'm getting older and I have AI that handles stuff for me. It's how do I become a better human?
Yeah. It's good. It's good. All right. Well, hey, thanks for, I've really enjoyed this. Um, I could probably talk to you about this for a couple hours longer as we talk about the philosophy of AI and purpose of life. But for other people who are curious about this and they want to learn more about you, your content, I know you do have a powerful community in this area. Where can they go?
Yeah, it's really simple. It's Gary.club. So kind of like Sam's Club. It's Gary Club.
Okay.
It's really easy to remember. Everything's there. But you can find me on X or Instagram or Facebook. I'm all over the place. One thing to know when you find me, I show up as a giraffe. So you won't see my face on social media. You'll see a
I
giraffe.
noticed that. Why?
And I do it because I think I'm going to age and I don't want to have to work my whole life. But I believe my knowledge and my intellectual property and my thoughts are going to be very valuable for many, many years to come. So if you can get used to learning, engaging, interacting with my character of a giraffe, then I don't have to worry about making some low quality AI generated version of me that tries to age or never ages or whatever. And then I've had some friends of mine pass away, like Jessie Lee. She was a big influence in my life. She's a creator. and she passed away with cancer early in life. And if I saw a video of her today, it would throw me for a big loop because I know she's no longer on Earth. But if she was a giraffe and I saw a giraffe teaching some of her principles or lessons or life, I'd be like, oh man, that's Jessie the giraffe. That's amazing. So I chose to build a brand around a character rather than my face, so I don't have to be the face of the brand. My character can live forever, very much like Mickey Mouse.
Interesting. Very interesting. I did notice it was a giraffe when I was trying to look you up. I looked pretty hard until I finally found a video of where I saw your face on someone else's podcast. But okay, I'll put those down in the show notes. Look him up. It's under your name, Gary Henderson. He's not a giraffe. Great guy. Is a giraffe, isn't a giraffe. Complicated, but I'll put it down below. Thank you so much for coming on here, Gary.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you so much for listening to this episode and making this show possible. If you're serious about launching your own dream-driven business idea, it's time to take the next step. I created a free training that'll walk you step by step through the process to discover your perfect business idea, validate that it's a winner, and launch it this year. You can access that free training at goalcrazy.com/free training. And if you want more content like this, be sure to subscribe below. I'll see you in the next episode.